All right, welcome everyone to the Cluster Add-ons meeting. Today is Tuesday, the 11th of May. And I think we have a couple of new faces on the call. Do you quickly want to introduce yourselves? Or maybe you're not new faces, maybe it's just new to me. That could be.
Yeah, hey, so I guess I'm one of the new ones. So my name is Dave Gordon. I joined Red Hat about 9 weeks ago, so I'm still pretty new to this role, but I am the OLM development manager. So it's nice to be here, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Super. Welcome.
I think I'm the new face, the other one. Welcome, Dave. My name is Camila Macedo. I'm senior software engineer. I work now in PE team with the project portfolio in operator framework work as well. So we presented this item, this subject in the operator framework meeting. And then the people told you that it would be nice to share here. And that is because of this, I put this item in the agenda. Would you like it? Can I share my screen? Maybe it's easier if I open the links to show.
Or let me see.
Or if you want, you can share as well. You can click on. Maybe it's easier if I drive just to, if someone asks something, I can easily.
I know. I just made you the co-host. I think that should make it work.
Let's see if I can. Okay, I hope that you are seeing my screen. Super. Yeah. So the idea is just to share this documentation. We provide a few documentations in KubeBuilder repository, KubeBuilder documentation, and SDK as well, about how the plugins, how the architecture of the projects work, and how others from inside of the Red Hat or outside of the Red Hat that you'd like to create plugins, create solutions, such as we have to Scaffold Helm or Ansible projects, or now the Java one, how the people can create this kind of solution in a way, follow the same standards, the same design, that would be easy to make work together with SDK. Also, another advantage is, just to bring a little bit of context, is because SDK and KubeBuilder are now integrated projects. So they scaffold the same things, more or less. Of course, SDK scaffold things beyond that, but they are integrated, they work in the same way, and they work with the same plugin system. So by adopting these standards, by collaborating with these, we are also improve and to take advantage of the community. A lot of people can, if everybody follow the same, we can make one solution from one tool working another tool, things like that. I hope that it makes sense. So to clarify that, I put here the links. Why use the KubeBuilder style? That is the style that is used by SDK. The other point, are you saying the KubeBuilder documentation just to be sure? I don't know. Yes, are you saying, folks, just to be sure that I'm sharing properly?
Yes, we see why use the KubeBuilder style.
Yeah, so also, if you check here in this documentation, so you'll find how it works the plugin, how SDK works for the language-based plugins, and what is the plugin's vision. So one of the ideas that we have for the future would be that the CLI would be able to discover the plugins. So now, if you want to have the Java plugin, for example, we need to put this solution inside of SDK. But the idea in the future, The vision that we have, we don't know if it is happens or not, but has been discussed, is one thing that is desirable, would be the tool be able to look, okay, I have this plugin, this outsider plugin, but I know how this works and I be able to use that. So we could allow external, the SDK, the tools work with external solutions, which would be very nice. So, but for all this happens, if the teams, who is creating this kind of solution, follow the same standards, do the things in the same way, that will make it easier. If we can provide this solution, probably will make it easier, make the things integrated. Otherwise, it's very hard, because we can, if, for example, I create a project that is scaffold Python, you scaffold a Python operator, for example, and don't follow this standard, then after a year, I decided that I would like to put this solution in SDK, and SDK decided that it would be nice to have the Python solution there. But I did so much things there that will be a high effort to make it compatible with SDK. Why that? Because SDK has plugins that are generic. So, for example, to integrate with Operator Lifecycle Manager, SDK has a plugin, a solution that will do everything that is required for Ansible, for Helm, and for Go now. So we don't need to create a plugin for Ansible, a plugin for Helm, and a plugin for other language to achieve the same goal. This is easy to keep maintained, this is easy to improve, and all this stuff. So because of this, I think it would be nice, share these documents, and also these ideas as well. Also, if anyone has doubts, I mean, the core has Slack, and also in the Kubernetes ones. My nickname is C Macedo, Macido. Feel free to ping me. Feel free to reach me out. I can help you understand how the things works. I can help if you have doubts how you could develop the solution as well. Anything that I can help, just please don't hesitate.
Thank you, Camilla. Like I'll jump in. I think this is really great. I think you know, the effort to do Java is it will certainly help a big tranche of people who want who prefer that language for personal preference reasons. And I think, you know, it opens the gates to other things as well. And I think this is really exciting to see. And I personally am not sure whether it's worth the effort to have KubeBuilder discover plugins versus just having like a very thin shim. But that is based on my experience of like the initial work that some of the initial work I did to do like the declarative plugin. But that is I'm happy to, you know,
the idea would be like, for example, we have one solution that it's nice, but for us, for KubeBuilder or for SDK, it's not valuable to keep maintain. But you would like to provide that facility for the users. So I don't know, for example, integrated with any other thing, or the declarative, for example, or scaffold is something that is customized, that is some solution that is very specific. So we don't want to keep maintain, but we would like to provide, allow the tool works with that. So people could create different solutions, like for example, for downstream. Downstream is a great example. We don't want to put something that is very specific for OpenShift in the upstream solution, but would you like to provide solutions that help who would you like to do things that are specific for OpenShift. So like I would like to scaffold something specific image like for OpenShift, to the certified criteria, what is required for the certified criteria, which is not required for the community operators, it's not required for Kubernetes, for example. Then we could use this external plugin that should be supported only in downstream and not ship in the upstream solution.
Yeah, it's a noble effort, and I think it definitely has value. It's just I just worry whether it's hard, but it sounds like you have a good grasp on it, so that's good.
If you will check the issues in the SIG repository, for example, a lot of people ask a lot of things, really different things, like I can try, if you wish, try to after share some issues, some requests that are very specific. I would like to integrate it with a cheese framework, for example. I would like to use a cheese tool. I would like to use a cheese vendor. So are very specific and unique desires. So it's more about that. But the point of the documentation is like, for example, the Java plugin, it's a good example. The people have a lot of effort doing something, but then we need to have a lot of effort again to make the Java solution be aligned with SDK, to make that works together and see how we can keep that maintained easily, how we can make the Java solution work with the generic plugins that are the things that are provided by SDK on top, for example. When I start the project, I have this knowledge, how the things works, I could take the decision, you know. I don't want to follow these standards because if for my target audience, for example, is not good. This is, you take the decision knowing about that. Okay, I will afford be hard to maintain. Because for me, it's important. I will make people more happy this way. This is one kind of the decision. But if you only do different, for example, only because you don't know that you has a standard, you lose the advantage to take, you know, you lose the opportunity to take these advantages, because after you did the solution, you need to spend more effort. It's harder. In my humble opinion, when we start to think the solution, if you design it to work in this way, it's one effort. After the things are done, to align it to work in this way, it's another way to think, and maybe you'll not be valuable anymore, the effort, and we can lose some opportunities here. Take advantage of the community, because the community also can help. Like Java developers can see a problem and that is following the standards, and then contribute with the standards, with the lib in KubeBuilder that used by SDK to provide the solution. So instead of solve something that is specific for Java, they will solve a problem that you help everybody. That is the kind of the advantage if everybody follow up the standards. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. I didn't make nothing prepared. I just start to speak. So I don't know. I hope.
It makes sense to me. Yeah, thank you. I think it's exciting. I think it's good.
Super. Are there any more questions for Camila? Excellent. Yeah, thanks a lot for bringing this up.
Thank you.
I just saw Ilya added.
Yeah, I have added one
You want to read it out?
Somewhat philosophical, I guess. Just kind of wondering, somebody brought it up to me, and I thought it's actually worth discussing here. So, you know, when you're using an operator to install some software, the operator by design will hide some of the underlying details. making it potentially harder for user to troubleshoot what is going on with underlying resources, in particular in comparison to user creating, or let's say managing resources more directly with something like Customize or Helm perhaps, or just plain manifests. I mean, have folks seen any established patterns in this area? Any general thoughts on this? Just thought it's kind of an interesting topic to discuss. I have like very little thought on that, but yeah, so I'll bring it here.
Are you concerned more about the troubleshoot or manage the status and find the problems that happens?
Yeah, well, both things really. Yeah, because it becomes our operator's responsibility to fix everything. And if previously software was managed more directly by a user, if it's an established project, some users are used to managing it a certain way. They have learned ways to troubleshoot it. Now operator comes in, it has to take the responsibility of troubleshooting everything it can possibly troubleshoot, or otherwise users are lost. I mean, that's one line of thought.
And your operator has a specific language, or it's like Go,
it doesn't
or
matter.
no, doesn't matter for you? Okay. Kubernetes has one standard, that's one convention actually, that is the status conditionals, that is for you map, like for example, you define that you require a deployment, a service, and however, something doesn't work well. So you're checking the CR, the status conditional. I can try check the link here and share with you. And for troubleshooting, in the cluster, usually I use the logs. So who developer the solution can decide the level logs as well. So you can configure, like you can let the admin, you can put in the environment variables a configuration for your level logs, for example, like debug or however. For Ansible operators, scaffold with operator SDK configuration will be in place. Because this I asked about the language, you'll be the default is something that is the default, is the way that it is scaffolded by default. So you can put like, I want the bug logs, because usually you want a lot of logs because it'll be hard. But if you have a problem, you want to increase the level of the logs. So as a developer, you can provide this feature for the admins in your solution.
Yeah, I'll also mention we had one of the reasons it was that getting add-on operators into KOps was delayed was because we had some feedback from people who were used to the old way of doing things and wanted to like get the manifests and manage them manually and not even use an operator or see what those things were. And one of the things we're working on, which will require support from cluster add-ons, is the ability to have the operator run like in, I think, we've talked about this before, Ilya, like a client side or one-shot mode where it outputs a manifest. So I think the argument of supporting that, or for supporting that, is that we can still package things as operators, even if users prefer to run things, the old way and diagnose them manually. I think we will hopefully get to a point where the operator is fairly good at doing the simple stuff. I don't think it will ever be able to, address every case. And I think one of the things we haven't yet done is like the pause button, right? Where you're able to stop an operator doing things so you can go and mess around and see if you can get it working again and that sort of thing. Which would presumably be, that's sort of like, that to me is the middle ground, right? That's so on the one extreme you have, I reject all notion of operators, I want manifests and I want to do it all myself, and we can support that with an operator. On the other hand, we have the operators are great and they will do the busy work for me, and so I want to use operators. And then I think we can also support the middle ground, which is like, all right, the operator broke in a way that I wasn't expecting. But I'm using the operator, stop the operator, let me go in and do my manual remediation as I would do. And then once either an update of the operator comes along or I figure out what's gone wrong, then I can resume the operator.
Okay, I see. Yeah. And is there something that, well, one thing that's quite interesting, Justin. The other thing I was wondering about, is there some way of user discovering what are all the resources that an operator has thrown into their cluster that they may need to make changes to while in the manual override mode, you know, or otherwise, just what all that belongs to this this operator, and how do I reason about it? How do I understand it?
Yeah, I mean, very much so. So like there's two ways, one of which is, you know, we can run the operator in client-side one-shot mode. Presumably we could figure out a way to run it in client-side one-shot mode without even touching, like just sort of get the CR from the cluster and tell me what should be there. The other one is using owner refs. So Santoshi, who was, is on the call there, wrote a tool that can show you, I think, one level of owner refs, the objects owned by a CR. It would be nice to show the whole tree, but you know, we're starting at the beginning. Because of the way Kubernetes works, it is not the fastest tool because it has to read all the kinds, but it's, you know, good enough for diagnostic purposes.
Yeah, I guess I wonder whether there may be a reason to debate some kind of some kind of a format of describing like the kind of relationships that an operator defines from a custom resource to a set of other resources.
You have the watch features that will watch the resources in the cluster, right? The goal of the operator is you ensure a state on the cluster, right? So you have one feature that you call watch. What it is does observe the cluster. So you can define what you observe. Usually in Kubernetes, you work with labels, you use the labels, you make annotations in the resource, so you can have fun and play around with that as well.
Okay, well, I guess I'm just sort of thinking a bit more broadly, right? I mean, yeah, and this is something that's been brought up to me by someone else, and I do think, you know, I didn't necessarily relate this to some of the discussions that we previously had about the client-side one-shot mode, but it does actually relate to it now that you mentioned it, Justin. But in a way, yeah, just sort of, you know, like if I'm authoring an operator right now, I have to sort of spell out everything that it does in the README. I wonder whether it'd be feasible to define a language in which you describe, hey, here's my operator, it has a CR, and it creates a deployment and a service and some other things. You know, I just wonder whether that could be part of some kind of operator definition API, because there are things that exist in OpenShift, like around OLM and such things. But I personally, with my recent experience, found it practically of very limited use to me as an author. It was something that seems to be useful to OpenShift, but I couldn't find much use of that. So I just wonder whether there are whether there may be a reason to kind of have a minimalistic sort of definition, minimalistic language for describing, hey, this is an operator, it takes a CR, it creates other resources based on that. How do we spell that out?
It's interesting that you say that, because that is pretty much exactly what the CSV is in OLM, the cluster service version. So
okay, right.
It'd be interesting to see where you felt that fell down. I know there's a lot of other cruft around it that we're trying to sort of remove in newer stuff. And I think the direction that probably operators in general can go on is probably more of an associated or an associative relationship rather than like something that embeds, let's say, a deployment and all of the metadata from your operator on a cluster. So more
No,
like
I'm definitely talking to something different than CSV. CSV lets me essentially deploy an operator shaped thing into a cluster and tell the OLM operator how to deploy it, right? What I'm thinking about is what would be descriptive to the user. It's something that would describe the function of the operator to the user without user reading the code.
Yeah, so I think we're trying to do something similar in that situation where you basically associate arbitrary traits and also cluster traits with a bundle, which is basically like all of the stuff that goes into an operator. And then that stuff could be tracked at runtime on a cluster. And I think we've actually pitched something like this in add-ons before. I think we called it the add-on CR, where it's basically like this thing that bubbles up status from a set of resources on a cluster that is associated either by owner ref or by label. Well, maybe I should just stop there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought it's it seems sort of worth discussing. But yeah, I guess the key topic is how to address the kind of transparency of what does this operator do, what should I expect, and what are all the things that I should be looking at when I'm using it. How do I discover those things? Yeah, but something that would also be user friendly and wouldn't require somebody to understand a complex API. Anyway, that's just an idea. But yeah, I guess broadly we're kind of saying that the client side one-shot mode and the sort of manual override modes would be potentially quite helpful for some of the challenges that users who are used to managing things more directly have, but possibly even other users. And the other point that was mentioned is reflecting things in status. Sounds like the main way of going about these things, right? In the CR status.
Yeah, I think Camilla mentioned logs and events as well. Like I think
Okay.
conditions I think are great for structured data that can give you a hint as to where to look. And then like if you need more information, like ideally most things will be in conditions, but like I think we can only expose in a structured way the things we know about. So hopefully, so there will always be other things that happen.
Yeah.
That's always gonna be in the logs.
But I totally would recommend you work with levels of logs, because a lot of admins, users complain, this operator has too much logs. It's confused for me. And then they want to see only so many logs when they really need checks and some issues, do some troubleshoot. So allowing the admin configure the level of the logs, in my humble opinion, is the best approach. And about the other stuff that you spoke about, manage the resource, you need to know what kind of resource you manage and what you need to do with them. But the labels and the annotations, for example, is something that you can do. You can watch everything, you can observe, you can check, okay, what it has in this namespace that has this annotation. I want to look everything that has this annotation, everything that was created, everything that was deleted, you know, and when that happens, you retrieve the reconcile. So your operator, you recheck and ensure the status of the cluster again by the what's feature. I hope that that makes sense. That is helpful, is what you're looking for.
So I guess I'm not looking for a specific solution here. I just thought that I wanted to bring up the topic in general. You know, I think we'll be coming back to this.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair topic to bring up. I think though, if we can get to a point where we shouldn't reject the idea of add-on operators for this. What we should do is we should say, like, you know, can we make add-on operators work for people that want X, right? And we in the KOps project think that we can get add-on operators to work for people that don't want to use add-on operators. In other words, that want to package it. They want to use it as like a packaging mechanism, but not a installation mechanism. They still want to like generate the manifest and effectively kubectl apply them. And there's going to be some sugar around that in KOps, but you know, like that is a pretty extreme point of view. But it's if we can support that, I feel like we are. You know, that's my sort of goal, is to make it so that when people come with these, you know, different use cases, that we're able to meet them with the same tool set rather than having to create a new tool set.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, well, thanks, Ox. Very interesting discussion. I'll think more about this, of course. Yeah.
Super.
But the goal, no matter if someone does something manually, in my point of view, always needed to be ensure some state on the cluster. Need to ensure something. So the solution need to know what it is ensures anyway. So that is in my mind, the golden rule. The idea behind.
I guess for us, some of this, and then this was, of course, in context of potentially using an operator to install Cilium. For us, that is possibly more critical than certain other add-ons, because as a component that provides networking functionality, connectivity to the entire cluster, and possibly, of course, quite possibly security features as well. If something breaks due to an additional layer of automation, it may have rather grave consequences for functionality of the rest of the cluster. You know, all sorts of things do need to be considered. It's not, you know, it's not an add-on that provides some optional or somewhat auxiliary functionality, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of critical to the operation of the entire cluster. So that's kind of one of the reasons various angles are being looked at. So yeah, that's a few things there to think about.
Excellent.
In unrelated note for you, Elia, thank you for enabling WireGuard. I'm excited to try that out. I haven't had the chance yet, but that's super cool.
Thank you. Yeah, there was an Echo episode with Liz and Martinez, who is the engineer who worked on WireGuard implementation, which should be on YouTube. Echo is the eBPF Cilium office hours, or something like that. Yeah, it's
added to my queue. Thank you.
Yeah.
Super. Do we have any other things you were hoping to discuss or chat about? If not, I guess we could wrap up 20 minutes early. Good. It was great to see you all again, and see you in 2 weeks.
Nice to meet you, folks. Really thank you
Take care,
for
everyone.
all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.